Glory be to the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dearly beloved ones, today we shall deal with St. John's Gospel, chapter 28, verses 1 through 8. Chapter 12 of St. John's Gospel, according to many scholars, is said to be displaced, or they suspect a dislocation. For example, some scholars suggest that St. John's Gospel chapter 12 verses 19 to 29 should come first, which should be followed by verses 1 through 18, and then verse 30, and finally verses 31 to 42. But we deal with as such for our studies. But if we read it in the order which I suggested earlier, we can have a more clear connection of events. Coming to the text, it was coming very near the end for Jesus, that is to come to Jerusalem for the Passover, was an act of the highest courage, because we have seen that the authorities had already made him in effect an outlaw. When Jesus came to Bethany, they made him a meal. It must have been in the house of Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, because it is said that Martha has been serving, so it should be in her own house. It was then that Mary's heart ran over in love. She had a pound of very precious spikenard ointment. Both in St. John's and St. Mark's Gospel, we see an adjective used to describe the ointment, the spikenard ointment. The adjective used is the Greek word pistikos, that is Pistikos, to hardly translate into English. Oddly enough, no one really knows the actual meaning of the word pistikos. Scholars suggest four different possibilities for the meaning. First is that it may come from the adjective pistos, Pistos, a Greek word which means faithful or reliable. So it suggests that the ointment, the spikenard ointment, was a genuine ointment. Some suggest that it may come from the verb pinein, Pinein, in Greek means to drink, something which is meant to drink. So it is suggesting that the spikenard ointment may be a liquid. And there is another suggestion that it may be a kind of trade name, and it may have to be translated simply pistiknad. Then there is a final suggestion that it may come from a word meaning the pistachio nut and be a special kind of essence extracted from the pistachio nut. In any event, we gather that it was a very specially valuable kind of perfume. With this perfume, Mary anointed Jesus' feet. Here comes Judas, who ungraciously questioned her action as sheer waste of money. Jesus silenced him by saying that the money could be given to the poor at any time, but a kindness done to him must be done now, for soon the chance would be gone forever. Now, in the small passage of 12 verses, we see some little character sketches. There is the character of Martha first. She was, as described, serving at the table. She loved Jesus. She was a very practical woman. And the only way in which she could show her love was by the work of her hands. She always gave what she could. Many great men has been what he was only because of someone's loving care for his creature, comforts in his home. It is just as possible to serve Jesus in the kitchen as on the public platform or in a career lived in the eyes of men. So Martha served Jesus in the way that she could, and she loved Jesus. Now we have the character of Mary. She was the one who loved Jesus above everyone. In her action, we see three things about her love for Jesus. Firstly, we see love's extravagance. Mary took the most precious thing she possessed and spent it all on Jesus. She never calculated the cost. Love gives its all, and its only regret is that it has not still more to give. So, we see love's extravagance in the act of Mary. Secondly, we see love's humility. It was a sign to honor, to anoint a person's head, but Mary would not look so high as the head of Jesus. She anointed his feet. The last thing Mary thought of was to confer an honor upon Jesus. She never dreamed she was good enough for that. That is why she anointed him on his feet. Thirdly, we see love's unself consciousness. We see Mary wiping Jesus' feet with the hair of her head. In Palestine of those days, no respectable woman would ever appear in public with her hair unbound. On the day a girl was married, her hair was bound up, and never again would she be seen in public with her long tresses flowing loose. That was a sign of an immoral woman. But Mary never even thought of that. Mary loved Jesus so much that it was nothing to her what others thought. There is something else about love here. John adds the sentence, the house was filled with the fragrance of the ointment. The church fathers gives the interpretation that the whole church was filled with the sweet memory of Mary's action. Such a lovely act, a deed. It becomes the possession of the whole world, and it adds to the beauty of life in general, something which time cannot ever take away. Now we see the character of Judas. There's also three things about him. Firstly, we see that Jesus trusted in Judas. In John 6, verses 70 and 71, we see he was entrusted with the money box. John shows us Jesus was well aware that there was a traitor in Judas or within the disciples. He may be trying to touch Judas's heart by making him the treasurer of the apostolic company. Secondly, in Judas, we see one of the laws of temptation. One of the laws of temptation. That is, Jesus would not have put Judas in charge of the money box unless he had some capabilities in that direction. Temptation, as we know, commonly comes through that for which we are naturally fitted. Judas had a gift for handling money and became so fond of it that he became first a thief and then a traitor. See, we see the verb used is bastasein, B-A-S-A Zein. Basta Zein in Greek does not mean simply to bear or to carry or to lift. In colloquial English, to lift a thing can also mean to steal it. That is, Judas did not only carry the bag, he stole from it. Temptation struck him at the point of his special gift. Thirdly, in the character of Jesus, we see how a man's view can be warped. Judas had just seen an action of surpassing loveliness and he called it extravagant waste. He was an embittered man and he took an embittered view of things. A man's sight depends on what is inside him. He sees only what is fit and is able to see. Lastly, there is one great truth about life. Some things we can do almost any time, but some things we will never do unless there is a chance when it comes. It was Judas's ill-natured complaint that the money which that ointment could have raised should have been given to the poor. To help the poor was something that could be done any time, but to show the heart's devotion to Jesus had to be done before the cross on Calvary took him to its cruel arms. This is something which we should remember always, to do things now, for the chance so often never comes again. And the failure to do them, especially the failure to express love, brings bitter remorse. Moving forward to verses 9 to 11. What about the Jewish leaders? For the Jewish leaders, they plot a plan to destroy the evidence. The evidence is Lazarus. For the leaders of the Jews, things were getting into an impossible position. This was especially the case for the Sadducees, to which the party belonged all the priests. For them, the position was doubly threatening. First, it was threatening from the political point of view. The Sadducees, they were very wealthy aristocratic class and they worked in close collaboration with the Roman government. They saw Jesus as the possible leader of a rebellion. He was stealing away the hearts of the people. The atmosphere was very electric, and the Sadducees were determined to get rid of him in case there should be an uprising of the people and their own case and comfort and authority will be threatened. Secondly, they regarded it as theologically intolerable because unlike the Pharisees, the Sadducees did not believe in the resurrection of the dead. And here they were confronted with Lazarus, who had been raised from the grave. Unless they could do something about it, the foundations of their power, their influence, their teaching, everything were slipping from beneath their feet. So they proposed to destroy the evidence by doing away with Lazarus. In order to maintain their own place and their own influence, the priests and the Sadducees, they were prepared to destroy the evidence for the truth. A man has come to a sorry pass when he is afraid of the truth and sets his personal prestige and profit before truth. Beloved ones, let us conclude with it for today. We will continue with the next verse in the next session. God bless you all.